Ever since the beginning of Minecraft, people have tried to push it to its limits. And today, I'm going to attempt a challenge that is considered impossible. Farming 10 million potatoes. That's enough to give each person on Earth 1/800th of a potato. As I loaded into my world, I knew exactly what to do first. Killing the Ender Dragon. Immediately, I headed towards a shipwreck, as pirates famously ate potatoes like all the time. And we found my first potatoes. 9,999,996 to go. Once I found the village, I had to get to the nether, so I got food, iron, furnace, iron, horse, iron, portal. Then I saw bone blocks and portal, potato. And I hit the grand total of 194. If I continued at this rate, it would only take 323 years straight of playing. But I can't play for that long. The Grow On event happens every Saturday. In the nether, I had to get gold so the piglins wouldn't attack me. They're not racist, they're classist. Then I mined into a bastion. In the bastions, the piglin brutes will attack you whether you wear gold or not. Using my max stealth skills, I stole the loot from right under their noses. But luckily, piglins are gold diggers and will forgive anyone who puts them in a hole and throws gold at them. Then, they traded me with pearls and fire potions. And a pulse. And after looting more and not finding any gold, I decided to head to the fortress. But then, I had a problem. There are lots of mobs attacking me. But wait, what the hell am I doing? I'm supposed to be farming potatoes, not beating the game. Well, you see, for the potato farm tutorial, I need bells, and bells need gold. Everyone knows the best way to get gold is from NCs. Trust me. Also, there's diamond gear there, but, you know, mostly the gold. Anyway, back to what we were doing. All the blazes were surrounded by wither skeletons, and I only managed to get 2 blaze rods. But then, I found a blaze spawner, with 20 seconds of fire earth left. I killed the blazes as fast as I could, and none of them dropped a blaze rod. But it's okay though, because if none of my 4 eye vendors break, I get 1 in 292,952 chance for the 8 eye portal, I can still enter the end. And that's still more likely than the 1 in 400 trillion chance of being born, which I did. On the way to the end portal, I tamed 3 dogs, Inky, Dinky, and Mealworm. I was scared that some of my eyes vendors would break, so I threw 2 at once so they couldn't both break. They both broke. On the bright side, now I know neither of them are lying, because they both pointed backwards, which means I'm near the portal. But as long as I get the 1 in 183,318,057 chance for a 10-eye portal, both my eyes ended broke. But now I know where the strong god is. And as long as I get the 1 in 1 trillion, it was a 2-eye. They left Inky Dinky and Mealworm behind as I made another portal and returned to the nether. I found a bastion, stole the gold, and traded for 2 pals and 2 fire rose pots. And also a dried ghast? They trade you dried gas? I named him Mealworm's brother. I decided to head to the fortress, even though I only got 2 pals, because I know another place to get there. You see, Endermen love the colour blue. Just trust me on this one. And next to the fortress was a blue forest. So I got enough pearls, and I head to the fortress after drinking a potion. But I couldn't find a spawner anywhere! So then I left to download FreeCam, but turns out that's illegal, because then my recording didn't work. So I'll tell you what happened. In the form of a song. I got the blaze rods, it was time to enter the end. But the truth is, if it wasn't extremely obvious, I'm really bad at Minecraft. And I was gonna be all alone out there. Would I even be able to beat the Ender Dragon? But then I realised, I wouldn't be alone. Inky, Dinky, Mealworm. That horse I had for 10 seconds. Mealworm's brother. All my grower garden plants. They would be there in spirit. It's not like I'm ever gonna lose my stuff in the end anyway. But just in case, I'll leave some spare iron in the chest. And I could do this. And I flawlessly climbed all the pillars without a single death. That one doesn't count. I don't have the water to clutch with. That one doesn't count especially. I was itching my nose. I was itching my nose! Not gonna lie, I wish this recording broke too, because these deaths are actually embarrassing. And after like 50 dragon perches, I finally killed it. And now it was time to do what we actually came here for. End busting. I'll get back to you when I find a city. I've been doing this for hours. There isn't a boat. There isn't a boat. But I had so much gear. I don't need chests. I could put all my valuables in. Like the dragon egg. Why aren't you putting the dragon egg in your e-chest? It's fine though. It's not like I'm gonna die or anything. I died. Why didn't I press space? I went back with a spare set and found an elytra and some diamond gear. But then I realised I only had enough gold to make 0 bells because bells are craftable. I was looking at a fan-made image when I planned this. I hate my life. Then I took Inky Tinky Mealworm and Mealworm's brother back to my base. And now we can finally start farming potatoes. Since I had no bells, I found an easier farm design. A compact mini farm. And it made so many potatoes. But there was a problem. I needed bone meal. So I spent so long looking for moss, just to realise there was some in the chest the whole time. So I built the world's best bone meal farm, AFK for hours, and it made like no bone meal. This isn't an 100-day challenge, but if it was, I'd be on really bad pace. I'd failed. I'd failed the challenge, I'd failed myself, I'd failed Mealworm. So I went where I always go in the darkest moments of my life. Grow a garden. But I realised you can farm in any game. I don't need to farm 10 million potatoes in Minecraft. I just need to farm 10 million potatoes. But I said I would push Minecraft to its limit. But if I change my legal name to Minecraft, all I have to do is push myself to my limits. And my limit is 10 million potatoes. In Grow Potatoes Tycoon, it has an AI profile picture, so you know it's good. There is no potato counter in this game, it only counts money. So to figure out how much money I need to have grown 10 million potatoes, I went to the Tesco website and checked how much a potato sells for. Then I saw how much money I would need for 10 million of them, converted it to dollars, and once I have $3,216,000, I will have grown 10 million potatoes. But the Grow a Garden event is in 2 hours and I have no time to wait. Immediately, this game has pop-ups all over my screen, so I know it's going to be great. The game gave me $700 off the bat, which I invested in potato spewing machines and a machine that turns my clicks into potatoes. You may question whether this counts as farming the potatoes, but the historical definition of farm is to allow someone to collect and keep the revenues from one payment of a fee, and I'm keeping all the revenue I make, so I think that counts. I'm now making over $50 a second, which is a sixth of Jeff Bezos. I decided to invest in walls due to the old saying, to grow potatoes is to have walls. But then the game asked me to favourite it, and I didn't. I hope that doesn't hurt me in the future. Then I invested in a speed coil due to the old saying, gotta go fast. Then I bought an upgrader, which increases the value of all the potatoes by infecting them with what I can only assume is vaccines to make them healthier. Then I noticed someone trying to sneak into my base, and they escaped before I could catch them. Which is when I realised this wasn't going to be easy. So I built a second floor for potatoes. I was now growing radioactive potatoes that I could only assume were injected with some sort of STD. I was then given the choice between making obsidian potatoes, the strongest material in Minecraft, which is me now, or a potato statue. And obviously I chose the potato statue. This is awesome! I was now growing diamond potatoes that I can only assume were injected with some sort of diamond. I was making good pace and making over $100 a second, which is more than minimum wage. I then moved on to a third floor with a hole in the ground because potatoes come from the ground. Things were going well. I was investing in better and better types of potatoes, and I had blue potatoes, and Enderman loved the colour blue. I then discovered playtime rewards and made 200,000 and invested into so many more potatoes. Green potatoes, more green potatoes, big potatoes, and a sword to protect my potatoes from anyone who tries to steal them. I've reached potato levels that others could only dream of. I've said potatoes so many times, I've forgotten what it means. Turns out it's a starchy plant tuber, which is one of the most important food crops, cooked and eaten as a vegetable. But then it's also the plant of the nightshade family, which produces potatoes in underground burrows. Which one is it? How can a potato produce more potatoes? Is this how the machines are making them? Oh my god, I'm making yellow potatoes! And now I've advanced to a 4th floor of potatoes. I'm so rich, I spent 40,000 on boxes to store more potatoes. I spent 150,000 on another statue. I bought a chimney. I was making even more green potatoes. But then, it asked me to favourite it again. It made me realise I was not the one pulling the strings. I was merely a pawn. A pawn in a much larger game. All my potatoes were turning into money. But the question is, where were they going? But then I remembered. The man who inspired this challenge, the man who did this before me, CapLover5565, who set out to farm 1 billion potatoes. I live to serve him. All my potatoes are just a fraction in his much larger scheme, but I can't dawn on this. The clock is ticking into the Grow a Garden event. You might be wondering why I can't be going after the event, but I am Minecraft. I need to push myself to my limits. That's why I set out to finish this before the Grow Garden event. So I clicked favorite and continued farming even more green potatoes. And as I bought the last upgrade, I now made $1,154 a second. I was on track to beat my record in 46 minutes. I had plenty of time and nothing could go wrong. But then I left to eat dinner and came back with 40 minutes left. I was so close, but I had failed. I would be just off. I wouldn't be able to push myself to my limits. I would fail myself and the challenge. And all I needed was a little more dollars. So I joined on an alt account. As time closed in, I bought every upgrade. I used the playtime rewards to help me buy more upgrades. And on my main, I noticed someone tried to steal my money, but there was no time to dwell. There was 15 minutes and I was only making 264 a second on my alt. I needed more. I didn't even buy the potato statues because there was no time. I spent 50k on potatoes, bringing my profit up to 300 a second, but it wasn't enough. 5 minutes, I spent my money getting to 500 a second, but I couldn't afford to spend any more. All I could do now was wait. The time stopped. I had 3.1 million. But my alt at 200k! I had done it! I had farmed 10 million potatoes and brought myself to my limit. I'd one for me, I'd one for Mealworm, and most importantly, I'd one for Cat Lover 5565.